Ooh, look at how organized all my makeup is. I've got 2 bags. Check this out. I got the Lisa Frank one. Ready for some zipper ASMR? Here we go. We are doing a Business Guru Week in the Life wrap-up, or I guess Month in the Life wrap-up, because I haven't done one of these wrap-up videos in a month. Let's get ready.
Get you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should take up lesbianism.
Chicago. You guys asked for it.
Bright, sparkly purple on a Monday morning. What's up, my fellow small business supporters? I'm Savvy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I've got my Business Guru magnetic poetry mug with me because we are talking about business gurus once again. If you guys don't know, the Business Guru magnetic poetry mug is one of my merch items. I released it when I hit 10,000 subscribers as a celebration. So please don't forget to check out the description below where you can find this on my Big Cartel merch store. Business Guru magnetic poetry is one of those phrases that I coined. It's a little inside joke on this channel about how a lot of times business gurus just say the same thing in slightly different words, or even the same words in a slightly different order. It's like they just got a magnetic poetry set and they're just putting things together, like be unapologetically yourself. When the ship rises, when the boat rises in the harbor, I don't know, whatever it is. Life happens for you, not to you. Life happens through you. Business Guru magnetic poetry linked in the description below. Some brief context for this video. On my second channel called Your Morning Guru, which is a morning show live stream and podcast that I run with my co-host and one of my best friends, fellow author RK Gold. On that show, every week we choose a different business or self-help guru to live the life of. We follow their morning routine, sometimes we'll follow their diet, we'll often read their books, and we'll try to live our life the way that they live their life and see if we learn anything, if there's any success we can take with it, and see which elements are just absolute bullshit that we're going to leave behind after we finish snarking on it and making fun of it on the podcast. We have lived the lives of various business gurus. I did another wrap-up video about a month ago, which I'll link up in the cards, where we lived as Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, Rachel Hollis, Gwyneth Paltrow, Jordan Peterson, and then over the past month, we have lived as Joe Rogan, Tim Ferriss, and Marie Kondo. Today's video is primarily going to focus on Marie Kondo because she actually changed my life. Guys, I never thought that a guru, whether self-help guru or business guru, would change my life. But if you notice how clean my office looks, you'll see that I was actually proven wrong. I started doing these wrap-up videos for people who were not able to make it to all of our morning live streams, or who didn't have time to rewatch all of our long morning shows, or who didn't want to listen to it in a podcast format and just kind of wanted a video. So I'm doing another wrap-up. I will do another one next month too after we live like some more business gurus, but let's get into it. So the first person that we lived like since my last wrap-up video was Joe Rogan. Now, a lot of people are like, is Joe Rogan really considered a business or self-help guru? Not really, but he was just kind of a fun antidote to the very high-strung hustle culture type of people we've been living like up until then. Joe Rogan is a much more chill kind of dude, so we wanted to kind of take a break with him. And he also does have interesting things that he tries out in his life and interesting things that he lives by, so we wanted to try out some of those things as well. For example, he loves to eat elk meat. On his podcast, he's always talking about eating elk meat. So I ordered some elk jerky on Amazon, and I ate a ton of elk meat while we were doing the show, and you know what? Elk meat is delicious. I love it. I understand why he likes it so much. He also loves to smoke a lot of weed, so we did that on our age-restricted stream on Friday. We wrapped up Friday by getting high Friday morning wake and bake while having some guests on the show and just having a big party. Another thing that Joe Rogan does is he likes to interview a lot of interesting people and kind of give them the floor to talk. So we brought a bunch of guests on our show that week, interviewed them about their lives and their work and what they were doing, and we always asked everyone, have you eaten elk meat and have you tried DMT? Everyone we interviewed had not tried DMT, with the exception of one of our guests' boyfriends had tried DMT and then tried to give himself a piercing. So that was an interesting story, but also don't try that at home. Do not recommend. Actually, a few of our guests had eaten elk meat. Apparently, it's more common in Canada than I realized. Overall, our main takeaway from Joe Rogan Week was to remain curious about everything. Joe Rogan Week was an interesting contrast to Jordan Peterson Week, which had come right before that, because we realized that the problem we had with Jordan Peterson is that he seemed to value authority and expertise peace over curiosity. And that's why, even though I do believe that he's a very intelligent and very well-researched person, when people bring up new ideas to him, or when people talk to him about something that goes against his previously held worldview, he'll often respond by being like, that's cultural neo-Marxism, or that's the leftists trying to control us, instead of trying to engage with those ideas and remain open-minded. And even if you are more educated in a certain field than someone else, why not just take the time and say, interesting, tell me about your research on that, or tell me what you know about that. It's something that I didn't think about before, but I want to hear it from you. And at the end of the day, you might still be the person who's right, but why not just give it a chance? As Hilary Duff would say, why not take a crazy chance? Shout out to the Lizzie McGuire makeup palette from ColourPop that I'm wearing. Honestly, this is controversial, but I think I like the Lizzie McGuire palette better than the Animal Crossing one. And I never thought I would say that. I started wearing makeup in the first place exclusively because of Animal Crossing. I went 28 years without ever wearing makeup, and then Animal Crossing palette came out. I was like, I love it. But now I like the Lizzie McGuire one better. Guys, this is wild. Anyway, what we noticed about Joe Rogan was that he's very into asking people their thoughts on things, in not assuming the position of authority in any case, because he's there to hear what the guest has to say. And that's why his interviews can range so widely in terms of what kind of content we're going to get on his show, or whether something really problematic is going to happen versus whether some really interesting and innovative discussion or discovery is going to happen. It's because he kind of lets the guest take the lead, and that's something that we love doing on our podcast as well. So, I think that there was a lot to gain in terms of valuing curiosity, and having curiosity be one of our core values and one of our driving forces as we continue this show. The following week, we lived like Tim Ferriss for a week. Tim Ferriss is basically a self-help and business guru archetype. We read his book, The 4-Hour Workweek, where he talked all about how to, eliminate the excess work we have in our lives and things like that. And this book, like many other books, I had a lot of mixed feelings about. Maybe I'll do a complete review of it. Actually, I'm going to be doing, as an upcoming video, I'm going to be working on a business and self-help books tier ranking chart. So I'll do little miniature reviews of each one as I rank them. This book I did have mixed feelings about because I thought there was valuable advice in there for figuring out ways to trim out the excess work out of your day. Things like if you're going to be trapped in really long meetings all day long that don't need to take that long. The book had some interesting techniques for how you maybe can talk about that with your boss, or try to do the meetings in a different format, or things like that. I think he had a lot of really good advice there. However, I realized that the main problem Tim Ferriss has is the similar problem to what Grant Cardone has, which is that his advice comes from a very self-centered place. I think a lot of gurus they come out here with the claim that they want to improve your life, but in reality, by selling you that improvement, it's all about improving their image and their lives. So they come at it from a self-centered place, and I think they expect that their audience is going to come at everything from a self-centered place as well. Here's an example. In Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek, one way that he talked about eliminating a lot of the excess work in your day-to-day life is to hire a virtual assistant. Then he went into some specific advice, which I will say I do appreciate when people go into specific advice in business books, because a lot of times we get very vague things, we get fluff, we get the be yourself type of lines, we get the business guru magnetic poetry. However, that's not really what he did. He did go into specifics, which I appreciate. However, by going into specifics, he basically he pulled the veil off. In this part, he talked about how when he hires a virtual assistant, he likes to look into other countries where the minimum wage is much lower and find people that he can hire for $4 an hour or less. He then gave the reader many resources of places where they can look to hire people at below minimum wage payments, and which places would refer you to the most people who would work for under $4 an hour. He also seemed to be very comfortable exploiting people who didn't speak the same language as him. He talked about ways to get around language barriers and ways to instruct people who don't speak English so that you can get them to work the most efficiently so you don't end up paying them too much. Overall, it felt very, very exploitative, and the way he very unashamedly admits that he's like, yeah, I just don't pay my workers very well. I just hire people and I just don't pay them enough for the work that they're doing. And he basically just admitted that. I mean, I think all gurus might be doing that to an extent, so I'm not really surprised. I'm surprised that he was so honest about it, but the way that he was so nonchalant about the practice, as in like, oh yeah, this is just a thing everyone can do. Just hire people and don't pay them very well. I feel like it's going to be perpetuating such a harmful idea where his readers might pick that up and be like, okay, if Tim says it's a normal thing to do, maybe it's not that exploitative. Like, I'm worried that he's going to contribute to that culture through these types of things. So overall, I think Tim Ferriss is a shitty guy. I think he's exploitative and harmful to workers' rights overall. We looked at his morning routine. One thing he does every day is he likes to eat chili for breakfast. So I made some chili and we ate chili for breakfast on the live stream. I enjoyed making chili and learning something new from that. I don't think I'll eat chili for breakfast every day though. The reason he eats chili for breakfast every day is so that it takes a decision out of his decision-making process. A lot of gurus actually talk about this. The idea that when you make too many decisions in a day, it starts to like wear you down subconsciously. There's this idea that if you have a lot of decisions to make, you should save your mental capacity and your decision making for places in your workday where it's going to be most profitable to you. So if you want to be one of those like hyper hustling, working at maximum efficiency type of people, that's why people like Steve Jobs just wore a black turtleneck every day, because it's like, oh, if I spend time trying to think about what I'm going to wear and trying to think about how I'm going to look today, then I'm wasting time that I could be spending working. It's like how people talk about how Bill Gates, it's not worth it for him to bend down and pick up $100 bill, things like that, the maximum efficiency. So Tim Ferriss doesn't want to spend time thinking about what am I going to make for breakfast and then spend time making breakfast. Instead, he just eats cans of chili every morning because he doesn't have to think about it that way. It doesn't sound like a very fun existence to me, so whatever. The third guru we lived like for 2 weeks, and now we're getting into the meat of this video, which is Marie Kondo. I love this woman. She is fantastic. For the first time ever, we extended one of our weeks into a second week. When we first went into this, we were like, each guru is getting 1 week, but Marie Kondo got 2 weeks because our audience was really, really loving all of the content surrounding her. Our audience was loving living Marie's life along with us, all of that. And we realized that she just had so much to offer that we wanted to continue exploring her and her methods for a second week. So for those of you who don't know, Marie Kondo is the author of the book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, along with the book Spark Joy and the manga version called The Life-Changing Manga of Tidying Up. She also has a show on Netflix, which is a reality type of show where she works with different households and families to help them get their lives in order. Her overall message is about keeping your home organized and how through eliminating excess clutter in your home and organizing it in a way where it's easy to access everything, you will have a much clearer head, you'll be able to focus on your goals more, and all of that. Now, my entire life, have struggled with hoarding. And this is not a new thing for me. This has been since childhood. I have always had trouble where if I have to throw something out, it gives me a lot of stress. The idea of putting something into the trash can, never to see it again, and the permanence of that has always given me a little anxiety, even when it's literal trash. Like if I'm like, oh, this food is moldy and has gone bad, I need to throw it out, I still feel bad. I'm like, I'm officially making a final decision to part with this forever. And I guess the eternal nature of that gives me some existential depression. I don't know. It's a weird thing to talk about, and I'm not a therapist. However, what was interesting was during the end of Marie Kondo week, the second week on our show, we had a guest on who actually has her master's in psychology and is currently training to become a school psychologist. So we had her on, and she had the DSM, which is the book for, looking through and defining different mental health disorders and things like that. So she was reading through that. And we talked about hoarding in the DSM, and we also talked about how hoarding can be a symptom of OCD, which makes a lot of sense because on this channel I've been very open about the fact that I have OCD, and it's just really interesting to realize how many of the difficulties I've had in my life kind of tie back to OCD and those symptoms, and how being medicated for OCD and going to therapy for that has helped me work through those symptoms and has helped me, kind of just get better at those things, even if it hasn't eliminated them entirely. So all my life I've been a hoarder. I've been somebody who I keep every single item. I would keep every paper that I've ever written anything on. I'd find a back of a receipt that I did a cute doodle on absentmindedly and be like, oh, I can't throw this out because the doodle's really cute, and what if I want to look at it again in the future? Like, I have a lot of trouble. So when I started Marie Kondo week, My office was a mess. There was trash all over my desk. There was trash all over my floor, everywhere. My bedroom was obnoxious. The bedroom was just full of excess clothes that I've kept for decades in some cases. I just had clothes from back when I was a very skinny, underweight teenager, clothes that I could never fit into now and probably never should be able to again because that wouldn't be healthy for my adult body. But I didn't want to get rid of them either because of perceived sentimental value or because in my mind I'm like, oh, but what if there is somehow is an opportunity where I could wear this again? And just the finality of being like, I'm throwing this away and I will never see it again, that just freaked me out. So I read Kondo's books. I listened to, on Audible, I listened to The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, and then I read the manga, and now I have her book Spark Joy, which I'm not done with yet, but I'm taking a look into that one as well because I'm really trying to learn more about her methods. I also watched her Netflix show, which I found really helpful to kind of see the before and after of everything. So I started cleaning my office live on stream. I started going through items live on stream with everybody. And I know that people sometimes like to watch other people clean, so I thought it would be fun for people to get to see that. And because I've mentioned that I'm so extroverted and so attention driven, I knew that I would be more motivated to work on overcoming these things if I could do it along with other people, if I could do it in front of an audience, and I could do it with people there to cheer me on. So people were watching me go through things and clean things, and that really, really started to help a lot. Before I knew it, I was going through the bedroom, and I started to wonder, and it started to get me thinking more and more about what is the root cause of why I struggle with cleaning. Because there's the hoarding, right? There's the being anxious about something going away forever, and that's definitely a big part of it. But on top of that, just the acts of cleaning have always given me anxiety too. Like, why do I feel so much dread, and why do I associate putting dishes away or putting laundry away with the feeling of pain? And that's when it hit me. It's because I literally have back pain. So as you guys probably know, I was diagnosed with scoliosis 17 years ago, and it has just been a difficult part of my life ever since. I actually have I haven't had to get surgery because I have two curves in my spine. So the two curves kind of balance each other out, and I haven't needed surgery for that reason. However, I've needed a lot of physical therapy. I've struggled a lot with back pain. And as you guys know, I've got these really large boobies right here. That does not help the back pain whatsoever. So I just realized that that's another thing that after the pandemic, when I do start talking with plastic surgeons and orthopedists and chiropractors about getting breast reduction, that might be a way to help prove to the insurance that I do need this covered because it is a necessity. I've been preferring living in filth rather than to experience the back pain of cleaning my house. So that was another thing that I realized. So when reading the book and Marie talks about like, you know, try to clean everything all at once, I realized that that's just not physically possible for me. So I modified it a little bit and was like, okay, what I'll do is, you know, we'll extend this into 2 weeks. I will make it a huge event out of this. Like she said, don't try to make this like a year long, a little bit each day kind of thing. Make it a big event. So I was like, okay, these 2 weeks of living like Marie Kondo on the show are going to be the big event. And then each day, you know, I'll spend an hour eliminating clothes, putting them in a bag, donating them, that kind of thing. Take a break, go back to my work, change my posture so I'm sitting in a chair instead, that kind of thing. Then maybe I'll finish editing a video, get the video exporting, then go back into the bedroom and clean out more things. And guys, let me just say, it was amazing. I cleaned out so much. Her method of just holding something up and being like, does this spark joy? And just having to think through it and think about like, am I just holding on to this because I'm afraid of getting rid of it? Or am I holding on to it because I genuinely actively want it in my life? Those were hugely important concepts. And while they might feel obvious and like common sense to someone like me who has had tendencies to hoard things, it's not common sense. And it is something I need to actively train my brain to think in that way. One thing in her book that she really talks about is how some of the main reasons that people hold on to too much or people hold on to clutter in their house is either a fear of the future or an inability to let go of the past, or sometimes a combination of those. And that really, really resonated with me because there's the fear of the future, right? The idea that I'm going to miss these items, I'm letting things go, I'm showing that there is a final movement forward and we can never go back, and it triggers that kind of existential dread. And then there's also the being stuck in the past with like, oh, this brings back so many memories. This is something that I love because it reminds me of these fun times that I had. But it's that trying to learn to live in the present a little bit more, and I think that helped me center my thoughts in the present of where I am in the here and now. And when I thought about it, it was like, no, you're right. I would rather have a closet that's just full of clothes that every time I look into it, I'm like, oh, all my options are things I actively love, rather than having to sift through things that I'm like, no, that doesn't fit. No, this is falling apart, whatever. To get rid of them and to have that space instead actually has helped me feel a little less stressed and clear out my mind a little more. So I made a lot of really, what I feel like are life-changing discoveries about myself and the way that I operate and things like that during those 2 weeks that we spent living as Marie Kondo. It was a very difficult way to go through all of it, but I'm glad that we did, and I'm really looking forward to the next couple people we live as in the future. Right now, here are our plans for the next couple weeks on the Your Morning Guru show, which, by the way, if you're not already subscribed, it's linked in the description below. Please check it out. Please subscribe. We have a lot of fun every morning at 8 a.m. Central on the live show. Here are our plans for the next couple weeks. So this week, we're actually not following a specific guru. This week, we are working on trying to do some giving back and paying forward and raising monies for charity. So the two of us, RK and I, are going to be on Friday's show. We're going to be doing a charity fundraiser where we shave our heads after we reach certain thresholds of how much money we want to raise for something. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be a fun thing to do together. And also, like, my hair is getting a little bit long in the back. It's starting to annoy me a little bit. So we're going to be doing that together, and it's going to be really fun, and we're working on finding some charities to raise money for, so it's going to be a little bit of a giving back week, and it's also going to be a week of, you know, discussing new topics moving forward and reflecting on what we've learned, and also working on the idea of making a type of book about this experience, because, you know, RK and I have discovered through writing our novel Cancel Sean Boston, which is coming out this August, we've discovered that we really like writing together. We really work together really well as writing partners. So there's this new program coming out called Kindle Vella on Amazon, which, if you don't know much about it, I'm actually going to make an entire video about what we're doing for that next week, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, you should check out the AuthorTuber Keelan Rivers, who did a fantastic breakdown of what Kindle Vella is and how it works. I'll link her video below or in the cards or somewhere. But the basics of Kindle Vella are that it's like a serialized writing platform. So it's something where instead of paying for a full book, you get these like little points that you can pay for things with, and you use the points to get access to individual chapters at a time, and authors post chapters as updates as they go along. I thought this platform would actually be perfect for a book that we're doing about this, because theoretically this is never really going to end. There isn't going to be an end point where we're like, the book is done because the show is done, because we're always going to find more people to live like, and we're always going to find more experiments to try and more lessons to learn. So I think putting things up chapter by chapter to follow along with it is a good format for that. So this week on the show, we're also going to be working on organizing that and talking about how we're going to get that writing going, and talking about where everyone will be able to read that when it's ready. So this week is going to be a little bit more of like, I guess, a charity and housekeeping type of week, but then next week we are going to be living as Seth Godin. So I'm reading a bunch of Seth Godin's books right now and trying to learn about his tactics on marketing and analyzing the market and things like that, and trying to see which of his theories and practices I can apply to my own small business, Forever Home Friends. So we'll be doing that, and then I think after that we might be doing Gary V. I'm not sure. He's coming up soon, but please let us know in the comments below if there are particular gurus that you recommend that you really want to see us follow. We've gotten a few fantastic recommendations so far, and we're really excited to continue living like a bunch of these people, seeing what we can learn, seeing what we can make fun of. There's a variety of things, and I think this just goes to show that, you know, no person is totally good or bad. With every person we have followed, we've found things to criticize, but we've also found things to learn, and that's why our show is all about curiosity and making good faith attempts to learn from people you both admire and people you dislike and disagree with. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this wrap up. I will have another video on Friday, and I think this Wednesday or Thursday I'm going to probably do a live stream. This is a Patreon thing that I've been talking about for a while, where I've been wanting to review and shout out my Patreon supporters' small businesses. So I will do a live stream either here on YouTube. Yeah, here on YouTube, I'll do a live stream later this week for everybody, not just for Patreon, for everybody, where I will review small businesses of Patreon supporters that I have, because I've gotten some things in the mail and I have some amazing small businesses to shout out, and I'm really excited for that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you guys again tomorrow morning on the Your Morning Guru channel, linked in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe. In the meantime, though, please don't forget to support small businesses, and have a fantastic start to your week. Bye, everyone!
Get you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should take up lesbianism.
Chicago. You guys asked for it.